Ah, there it is. Finally showed up.
All right, folks, this is the sound check portion. Let us know how we sound as per usual.
Why does you say the sound check portion, and then for some reason in my head it goes, "This is the song that doesn't."
Really?
Yeah.
Like that's what you think every time that we go live?
Yeah. When you say that, the sound check portion for some reason triggers that.
That's funny. I never made that connection, but now I probably will for the rest of my life.
Every time.
So thanks for that.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could help out. I need to fill this with something.
That's what she said?
Oh.
That's just regular old Jack?
Just regular old Jack. There's fucking cobwebs on it. Jesus Christ.
Oh. Yeah.
It's been a while since we touched this bottle, huh?
Apparently. Is that the one Keith Lehman brought us?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of...
Yeah. Drip, 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 drip.
just a little nip just to get through the show.
Yeah, this is still just the sound check portion. The actual show is going to start here momentarily. We're just making sure we sound great. In fact, did anybody say how we sounded?
I don't know. I don't have the chat up. Hang on.
I'm seeing a lot of highs at a time. All right, we sound good. Thank you.
All right. No, you're not late again. You are early for an early show because we were going early.
Yeah, we typically don't start this early, but
the fucking Eagles are playing the Cowgirls tonight.
Monday Night Football on NBC.
So that's not how that goes.
No,
that's Sunday Night Football on
Oh.
NBC. Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football on ESPN.
Yeah, or ABC, whatever.
Or ABC.
Ooh. Bronco Fett says he made a Sidebar Cantina sign for Saturday's football game. I hope I will see it also.
Now, so let's talk about this now before we actually go live and start the actual show. Football feels normal this year, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like I think we're kind of back to normal when it comes to at least football.
At least football. It's a super spreader, but whatever. Who gives a fuck?
I'm vaccinated. I've had the fucking virus itself. I'm triple protected.
I'm good.
Yeah, fuck it. You know.
Yeah.
You know, if the virus breaks through and kills me, then it was just my time to go.
Exactly.
You know.
Why? What is happening right now? Jesus Christ.
What's going on?
Microsoft decided it was going to open up its own, like, oh, look, here, you want to see Microsoft News? No, I don't. Lunar Girl, it will not kill you to fucking root for the Eagles tonight. Excuse me.
I mean, unless you're a Cowboys fan, you've got to be an Eagles fan tonight, right? I don't care what other team you like.
Yeah, it's the classic fucking the meme where I don't care who wins as long as Dallas loses.
Yeah.
That's the sentiment.
That's everybody who's not a Cowboys fan.
Right, exactly. Fuck the Cowboys.
Indeed.
Yeah, all right, so if we sound good, I say let's get this fucking rolling.
Okay, I just need to think of one thing really quick.
You got source select, right?
Yep.
We've got the audio going. What else? What else are we forgetting? I don't know. We should have a checklist or something.
We should. Like, I don't know why we haven't done that at this point. Like,
because we had to do that for a fucking living. That's why.
Yeah.
Writing checklists was part of our jobs.
Yeah, but I mean, we also, like, we almost botched the second ever episode we did because, you know, I missed one stupid setting, the fucking reverb.
Reverb. Yep.
Oh my god.
Those were the days, the reverb days.
Oh, good stuff.
You're trying to think of a toast?
No, I think I got one. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm all right.
It's a good thing you sound so confident about it.
Yeah, I'm not confident about anything these days. All right, yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
All right. The countdown will commence right now.
to Mental Health Days.
It's Mental Health Days.
And we'll touch on that a little bit more as we go through the episode. But that being said, let's just hop into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sidebar Cantina, the podcast where we talk about Star Wars, pop culture, anime porn, or whatever the fuck we feel like talking about.
Nice.
I'm Mr. Jason Roskam. With me here each and every single week, the tentacle penis to my anus, Dave Martin. Hello, Dave.
Isn't tentacle porn... I mean, hang on. Before I say something I'm going to immediately regret. Isn't anime porn called manga? Like, isn't that a thing?
I thought manga was like a type of anime comic book.
Oh, all right.
So clearly, as we go throughout this episode, you're going to see that we know shit about anime and anime culture and anime styles. So bear with us, folks. In fact, what are we talking about today, Dave?
It's hentai, because I think it's the...
No, we're not talking about hentai today.
Oh, no, but we are talking about Star Wars Visions.
Yes.
Which is an anime-style short story that...
Or 9 of them, however.
Or several of them, I
Yeah.
guess. It's these 15-minute shorts that came out, and yeah, we're gonna talk about the first 4.
Yeah, we're only covering the first 4 because I feel like these are unique enough to where we should probably give some time to each one. Like, if we tried to bang out all 9 in one episode, we probably wouldn't be giving the individual episodes their justice. So we're only going to break it down for 4 episodes today.
Yeah,
and,
I think that's fair.
And see how we feel going forward to...
That's an hour's worth of these things.
Yeah, it was a good...
4 episodes.
Yeah, a good amount of time to sit and watch a few and take some notes.
Yep.
And we'll get into it. But before we get into that, we got some business to take care of, particularly the Red 5 network.
Yes.
We're professionals, people.
Stand by. There we go. Our amazing social media director has given me a little Red 5 top stories to talk about before we start. So we want to congratulate Press Play Streaming Studios on their new co-host, Chantal. As Stefan will be stepping back, we wish both of them tons of luck. I saw Press Play Streaming Studios in the chat, so hello to you.
Hello.
And congrats. Conversations released their 66th episode entitled Order 66. Very good job. Good job getting that. This is a hilarious episode that will find a creative way to feature 66 different Star Wars loving podcasts, including us. Hooray!
Yay.
Luna Girl will post a link in the bios and on Discord after the show. And more on Red 5 happenings after the show. I do want to state I'm the worst, by the way. The absolute worst. I could have not said anything, but now that I've started, now I feel like I can't stop. We got a nice little bumper video in from one of our compatriots in the Red 5 network.
Yep.
Which we're going to incorporate into the beginning of the show with our 30 seconds and all that other good stuff. However, Dave sucks, and he didn't make the video today. So look for it on our next podcast.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's actually really good, and I'm the worst.
Yes, and thank you, Alan, for the video, and it will see the light of day. That being said, we like to do a segment every week on the show that we call This or That.
This or That.
Where our social media director, Luna Girl, puts up a poll on our Instagram. And what is our Instagram, Dave?
At the Sidebar Cantina.
That's right. And she gives you 2 options. You pick an option, and we go over the results here on the show. Typically, they are in line with our topic for the week. So we are talking about Star Wars, and specifically...
Talking about Crazy Golden Medallions.
That as well. But this time, we're specifically talking about lightsaber duels. So she put one lightsaber duel against another, and the people voted. I'm scratching my head on a couple of these, but we'll see how it goes.
All right.
We're starting with Yoda. Yoda versus Dooku in Attack of the Clones, or Yoda versus Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith.
So I went with Yoda versus Palpatine because Palps throws the fucking Senate at him.
I threw the Senate at him.
I threw the Senate at him. That's it's such a... If you think about where we are in the canon in that particular moment, right? Where the Jedi are being annihilated, and the most powerful of them is now relegated to being a fucking toad.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, loses his robe, can't fucking like just can't compete against the amount of fucking just evil dark side badassery. Go with that.
Yeah.
I'm
So
making it up today, folks.
so I went with the opposite. I went with Yoda versus Dooku because I feel like, first of all, I didn't like the way Palpatine acted in this whole portion. Like, I don't know, he was being very weird and all the cackling and laughing as he's like having all these lightsaber duels and the faces he was making. It kind of really took me out of it. Plus, it was in the background of the most badass lightsaber duel we've ever seen, kind of intermixed with whatever the fuck was going on with these two. Like, and it was a massive effects thing with the whole Senate and all that. And I couldn't get into it, but I loved the Yoda versus Dooku bout. And I'm sure we talked about this when we looked over Attack of the Clones a couple years ago. When I was in the theater watching Attack of the Clones for the first time, and fucking Dooku wipes the floor with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and then all of a sudden you hear the click, click, and you see Yoda kind of hobble in. The crowd goes fucking nuts. Then when he pulled his lightsaber out, they went even fucking crazier. Like the energy behind that fight and the build up to it, because this was the first time we'd ever seen Yoda in that capacity.
Yeah.
So that just has so much more of an emotional attachment for me.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I went with my initial through the Senate Adam,
And that's fine.
thing, but you can't discount at all what you're saying. Like the first time we get to see Yoda, here's where the CGI shit pays off.
Yeah.
Right. That whole he's fucking what's the the frog on ketamine or whatever.
Yeah.
It's badass. I'm giving it.
But you were in the majority because Yoda versus Palpatine won 63% to 37%. So the next one, speaking of the Anakin versus Obi-Wan battle from Revenge of the Sith, we had that versus Luke versus Vader in the icon she's showing is from Empire Strikes Back, so I guess that's, the Luke versus Vader in Empire versus Anakin and Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, look, Anakin versus Obi-Wan, regardless of what, any of the Vader ones versus Luke, pick one, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most epic duel ever is that sequence with Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, now not to take anything away from Luke versus Vader, because that was very emotional, and it was also very telling of how weak Luke was versus Vader. When it starts off, Vader's just going one-handed.
Yep.
He's just very easily dealing with Luke, and even as it progresses and Luke is not giving up and he's fucking giving it his all, he still gets beat, gets the hand chopped off, and then obviously it leads to the big revelation. But I was with you. I voted for Anakin versus Obi-Wan, and it did win 72% to 28%.
Just with the musical score alone, when you're listening to it and you get that, you just get that the goosebumps and just think about you're thinking about the fight sequence. And this is lightsaber dueling at its peak.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you want to see. You want to see two guys fucking just duking it out. It was awesome. It was just fucking awesome.
So this next one kind of surprised me. Now we're going into Clone Wars / Rebels era, and it's Maul and Savage, your favorite guy, versus versus Palpatine when they took him on, and then there's Ahsoka versus Vader from Rebels.
See, I went Ahsoka versus Vader.
Yeah, so did I.
I feel like there was a really super powerful moment there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it may have been somewhat simple as far as like the fight choreography and everything goes, but as just, most lightsaber duels, there's that emotional aspect attached to everything that's going on. That's what makes lightsaber battles so good, is because they are so personal.
Yeah.
It's these people like in close quarters with each other who have some sort of either an emotional connection or disconnection, whatever the case may be. So yeah, and you get Ahsoka and basically Anakin fighting each other with lightsabers, and you get the moment where she cuts part of the helmet off. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, true.
Like for what they did animated wise, that to me that's the peak.
Yeah, it leads to fucking Swede getting a tattoo of fucking
Yeah, the fucking
Anakin's face half open with the shield because
Yep.
of Ahsoka. Yeah, I agree.
But we were in the minority.
No shit.
Yeah, Maul and Savage versus Palpatine won 56% to 44%.
Listen, so here's the thing. I think there are a lot of people that I really feel like, oh hey, it's Maul. Maul is the superior like fighter because we saw our first real introduction to a lightsaber duel that was very athletic and physical was with Maul, right? So that elevates Maul to this place with all these fights and everything else. I mean, they developed the character extremely well in the animated series, right?
Yeah.
I think that elevation probably carries it further than they're willing to accept when you're talking about those two fights. It was, you know, like as the guy who picked Palpatine's battle versus Yoda, right? You know, it was really interesting to see Palpatine in that moment,
Sure.
and what he was willing to sacrifice with the two of them, since they went off script and he was pissed about it, so he went and fucking just beat up on them, and that's cool. But the moment between Ahsoka and Vader, I think, was far more important. To the story than
absolutely
whatever was going on there, and I think the fight was superior too. So
yeah, really shocked by those results. So next we have Rey versus Kylo Ren in Force Awakens versus Rey versus Kylo Ren in Rise of Skywalker. So their first duel versus their last duel.
Yeah.
For me, I went with Force Awakens. I think it was. I mean, such a good movie, such a good time to be a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
We weren't jaded yet, and there was still so much mystery around it, and you know that emotional moment where Rey pulls the fucking lightsaber to her hand,
Yes.
and for the first time, and that's when we realize for sure, 100%, she's the one that all this has been about.
That moment for me is one of the best moments in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like by far. Like the crescendo of the music and everything is just perfect. It just, if you know, you're not getting the goose pimples when that shit's, or even thinking about that shit, then you're fucking wrong. You're wrong.
Honestly, I think if you rewatch that scene and you watch the looks on the faces of both Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver during that moment, where she's kind of half surprised and she's kind of realizing it as we are, what's going on, and he looks at her and he's like, what the fuck, you know? So they did a really good job in just those couple of seconds of doing the perfect emotes on their faces and really selling that scene, and it was good.
Yeah, and look, the Rise of Skywalker scene, I think there was it was a huge moment also. Like, not to take anything away from that, but you had this, like, the background of the waves crashing, and just like, you know, there's really good music on top of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good sequence, but I don't think that you can really compare it to fucking just that moment when Rey fucking pulls that saber to her hand.
Yep, I agree. I think in the Rise of Skywalker duel, the real emotional moment came afterwards. Like, after she fucking stabbed him, and then she kind of realized, like, fuck, what have I done? And, like, does the healing and all that. I think that's where the important part of that scene was. But either way. All right, so the last one we have here, this is kind of funny. The caption is, which battle made you cry your own tears? And it was young Obi-Wan versus Maul. This is right after Maul chopped down oh god, Qui-Gon, yes. Oh my god, brain fart. I'm out of it lately, folks. We'll talk more about it here in a few minutes, but or old Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul from their final fight in Rebels, which, I mean, as far as like making me cry, the only one that made me cry was the Maul versus Obi-Wan in Rebels, when I realized, oh, that's it. Like, that's what all this has been building up to, that 5-second duel.
Yeah. Yeah, when you have to dig really hard to, like, understand the emotion of the moment, I think it misses a little bit. That sequence, I think I actually picked the old Obi-Wan Yeah, I guess I'm not. I did it not necessarily in the spirit of picking between the duels.
Yeah, I guess it's more the emotional moments afterwards
Yeah,
of each scene where, Obi-Wan's like holding the dying Qui-Gon
yeah,
versus Obi-Wan holding the dying Maul,
right.
which that's interesting the way that kind of all came full circle.
Yeah,
I never
but
I
that's
never made that connection.
but that's the kind of the extrapolation you have to make, right, to get to those and make all those things connect.
That's
Whereas,
so funny cuz it started with those three. He
Yep.
fucking cradled the dying Qui-Gon. 15, 20 years later, he's cradling the dying Maul who started all of that.
Yep,
Wow. See, the more you know, people.
that's right.
You learn something every day.
Learn something every day. But yeah, as far as just the fucking fight sequence, obviously Obi-Wan versus Maul was like prequels dueling was fucking.
It was the shit, man.
Yeah, it was absolutely the shit.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk some more about some prequel things that have still lingered on to these days as we start talking about the visions. Last thing, she's been doing another poll on top of the this or that, and this week's overall poll was for the 30-day challenge. She did overall, I think, lightsaber duel, and the winner was Vader versus Luke from Return of the Jedi. Yeah, so just favorite lightsaber duel, period. Second was Anakin versus Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith. But yeah, so overall favorites were those two.
Nice. And Lunar Girl says that most of the lightsaber duel matchups were inspired by a followers' answers in our 30-day Star Wars challenge on Instagram. Thank you. Oh, it was a Twitter poll that she had posted to get that.
We have a Twitter?
We do.
Oh, crazy.
Sidebar Cantina, I think, is the Twitter.
Right.
But look, for any of those things, rather than relying on our own memories, you can go into the link tree that should be in the show notes.
It is in all of our YouTube videos and our audio podcasts when those get posted.
Go to the link tree and you can find all that good stuff and not have to rely on Dave's or Jason's memory.
Yeah, which are terrible. Okay.
How do you cry somebody else's tears?
That's a good question. Anyway, are we ready to get into our weeks?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so I've kind of alluded to some stuff throughout the show, and yeah, I've been having some pretty rough mental health days. It's been going on for a few weeks now, and it's mostly been this build up with like the stresses of work. I'm working again this weekend. This is the third working weekend I've had in a 6-week period, and it fucking sucks. These weeks always drain the shit out of me. You pile that on top of just the backlog of things that I have that I got to get done at home. When we fucking when that computer fried in here 2 episodes ago during which episode was that? Wasn't Birdemic. It was the one before that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's when my fucking computer blew up. That set me back on posting the audio episodes of the show. Either way, I've been having a rough go at it lately, and everything kind of came to a breaking point last week. It's last Wednesday. Started off great. Started off watching The Booth in the Back, and fuck those guys, by the way, on Wednesday night. And, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll relax. I'll have a drink and kind of watch these guys. The show ended, and I'm still drinking. I'm like, fuck it. You know what? I feel like drinking some more, and I drink some more. And it quickly spiraled down and put me into like a really bad place. I broke down on Kristen that night, and it wasn't good. Not a good situation. The alcohol did not help. In fact, when I woke up the next day, I was still drunk from the night before. I had a Long Island iced tea and 5 rum and cokes that night. I woke up still drunk the next morning and had to drive to work. When my office mate got into the office, I was passed out on the floor of our office. Thankfully, he took care of me. He went and got me a breakfast burrito from Dave's. Have you had one of those, by the way?
I have not, but people rave about them.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. He filled me up with coffee and kind of took it easy on me that day and just kind of let me recover. But it was kind of a low point for me.
All right.
And I just kind of feel really overwhelmed lately. And I had a conversation with you this morning where I feel like I need a couple of mental health weeks after this weekend of work and everything that I have coming up.
Right.
And that's ultimately going to lead into us taking a sabbatical for a couple of weeks.
Well, look, the mental health aspect of this is the most important part of it, honestly. And this is not without precedence. I mean, we've had to do this before. You know, one of us or both have needed, take a couple weeks. And fortunately for us, we have things going on in October anyway that was going to kind of like make our schedule a little sporadic as far as the pod goes. But yeah, so we'll throttle back to what we need to, what we think is going to work out best, and go forward. One less stressor, because this isn't supposed to be a stressor, right? It really isn't.
No, it's not. But like because I'm so far behind now on posting the audio episodes and everything else, that's just kind of adding to the things that I have going on. And you get to that point where you have so much going on and so many things that you have to do that you just shut down and don't do any of them. I'm sure you've dealt with that before. And then of course, as men and as Gen Xers, we don't talk about our problems. We don't let other people into our problems, and we just let it boil until we fucking break. And last Wednesday was my breaking point, and now I'm slowly trying to build myself up. But I do think I need these couple of weeks to kind of refocus. I guess
I think it's very smart to do that, and and get yourself recaged, honestly, because otherwise, you don't want to go down that road.
So that being said, stay tuned for an updated schedule from us as far as posting episodes of the pod. Besides that, everybody is bringing up in the chat how I got put into Facebook jail again this week because of some comments I made during the booth in the back last week, which they're such funny guys.
See, I unfortunately I did not watch it.
Yeah. Well, no, apparently they wanted me to know that your record doesn't matter in fantasy football. Wins and losses don't matter. It's all about how many points you score. So I had to make an adjustment to my team this week, but we'll talk about that in the after show.
Nice. Yeah, it is a tightly contested league right now, aside from somebody. There's one outlier of the league.
The one person who has no losses? Is that the outlier?
Okay. That is the outlier.
Okay, cool. So anyway, that's really all I had for my week. Just feeling overwhelmed with life and just trying to adjust.
Yeah, man, life can get like that. And Lunar Girl, that's not how I put it. Yeah, my week. What dude, it's kind of it's funny, you think about, you start, you call it speeding, right? So now you're trying so hard to keep up with everything that's going on, and at some point you just run out of gas. And I've been in a similar situation. Trust me, it's you've been dealing with your shoulder thing. I think that plays a lot more into it than you realize.
Oh no, I certainly realize that that's played a big part in like my poor mental state lately.
Yeah, so dealing with physical stuff and then trying to keep up with everything, and then it only takes a little bit to kind of throw it off, throw everything off kilter, and then like you said, there's so much, you're so behind, you just shut down. That being said, I don't know what I did with the notes. God damn it.
Well, they're up there.
Did you scroll down? Oh, okay.
We're professionals, folks.
Yeah, I'm trying to spin plates, and again, when you're trying to spin all the plates, inevitably all of them aren't going to be spinning as fast as they should be. I'm going to say that. So part of the extra organizational stressor for me for the past couple of weeks has been the looming government shutdown, right?
Right.
Without getting into any kind of political conversation about it, the reality is that if they don't fucking get some shit figured out, get their heads out of their asses, then there'll be a furlough, government shutdown, which means that I'll be furloughed. So I have to figure out what I'm going to do for income, in between that, however long it's going to take. Historically, it's only been a couple of days, which isn't really that necessarily a big a deal, but it could go on for weeks. You don't know. So I've been trying to get my shit together with my resume, and I want to get on board with the company that does substitute teaching around here, because schools don't do that on their own, at least around here. You have to go through a service. So I'm trying to get my shit into the service so that I can pick up a couple of days substitute teaching and supplement the income while we're on furlough.
Yeah.
Now again, it's not guaranteed, right? It's but you plan for the worst, hope for the best.
Exactly. It's good to have a backup plan.
Yeah. So I've been trying to keep up with everything, and I've forced myself to make more doctor's appointments, because I've been letting some stuff go, and it's started to really affect my quality of life. So I spent most of last week. I burned up a lot of my personal time going to doctor's appointments and shit, which it's not the best way to spend your day off.
Not really. Yeah.
Not really. So yeah, all that shit has to happen. Bronco Fett substitute teacher Dave. As long as it's high schoolers, I think I'd be fine. I can establish, like, the classes aren't even that long.
See, I think I'd be the opposite. I think I would not want high schoolers, and I'd much rather have younger kids.
I can be closer to my normal self with older kids than I can with younger kids. Younger kids is going to be exhausting because I have to be this like persona, like, and can't. I don't know. Like, you can be a little bit angry, and you can be like a little, not aggressive isn't the right word, but you can be, or I can be closer to myself with an older crowd, because they're going to understand that when I'm going to say something, and this is what I want to have happen, as opposed to a bunch of little fucking kids that now I have to I have to figure out what it is I need to say, and then fucking push it through this fucking filter.
See, I feel like I have the mind of a child, so that would put me on a much more even keel with the kids.
But... no, not me. My ultimate, like, what I would love to do is like a little side hustle would be to teach at a college, like at a university. But
sounds kind of like a legit job and not as much of a side hustle. But
yeah, I see these guys all the time, especially at Embry-Riddle. They're doing like classes at night that they're teaching and stuff like that.
Like working during the day, teaching one or two classes a week, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Just show up and grade some papers. And I picture myself going that route. So that's where I'm going to be looking for. Anyway, the only other thing of all the craziness that's been happening, like, it's actually been a pretty good sports week. Now, I say that we have the Cowboys tonight as an Eagles fan, so that's like the biggest game. It's early. It's too early. Like, my father-in-law and I were talking about it today. Like, this is too early to have Dallas.
Yeah.
Dallas is almost always around my birthday, because that used to be my big gift from my Uncle Fred when he would, take me to the Dallas game when I was at the vet.
Nice.
So, because it's right around my birthday. And it being this early, like, it throws everything off, because we're going to see Dallas this week, and then we don't see him again until the last game of the season.
Oh, fuck.
So it's like, fuck. It's early.
And the teams are going to be so different by the time you get to that last week.
Being an Eagles fan, like, there's such a build up to the Cowboys game, and it's a week of just like shit talking within the Philly media and everything else. Like, it's always like this big lead in.
Oh, yeah.
This year I haven't felt it as much, because I think most of the people are feeling it the way I am. It's like, we're playing the Cowboys. It's early in the season. We don't really know what kind of team we have yet. So, like, I don't know. It just...
Now, where are they playing?
I'm going to look at... I'm pretty sure it's in Dallas. Yes.
Okay.
So, it's at the house that Jerry built, which makes it that much worse. So... We'll see. We're starting the show early tonight, so I can get home to see the game. I'm not usually confident in them winning, but Penn State won. They beat up on a Villanova team. Villanova's an FBS team, an FCS team. They're not in the same category. It's fun to have an in-state kind of matchup like that. And I love Villanova. I love this school. I love their program. Their AD is excellent, but they couldn't compete with Penn State. I mean, it would have been nice to go out there and actually see that game, but the wife vetoed that.
Yeah, I heard.
Spending the money to go out there, just the gas money alone to go out there just to watch a game that we know Penn State's going to win. So didn't go see that, but I did watch the Ryder Cup this weekend. So for those of you that don't know, the Ryder Cup is this event that happens every other year, and it's basically the U.S. versus continental Europe.
Right.
So it's an opportunity for the U.S. to showcase its golf game against the rest of the world, or against continental Europe for all intents and purposes. The President's Cup is more of it's the world versus the U.S.
Okay.
But Ryder Cup's every other year, and it was supposed to happen last year. It didn't because of COVID. So this is kind of like the makeup. So it's still Ryder Cup 2020, but they played it this year.
Gotcha.
It was if you watch golf, if you're into it at all, the Ryder Cup is one of those events. It's kind of like watching the Olympics, where you usually wouldn't watch golf, but you're going to watch it because it's the U.S. versus everyone else, right? We have this complex where we're just like, yeah, fucking, we're the biggest guy in the room. We want to prove it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't won very many Ryder Cup matches in the past decade.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually it's been kind of discouraging. I think 2008 is the last time we won it. And so this year we had a stacked team on home field in a situation where Europeans couldn't travel to the venue because of COVID. So it was an even bigger home field advantage because there's you believe it or not, there's a lot of Europeans that would travel for this particular match.
Sure.
Because the Ryder Cup is fucking huge for Europe. Huge. Like in the United States, it's a side thing, right? In Europe, when this is happening, being selected to the team is a big fucking deal. The games, the matches themselves are fucking huge, right? It's not as big in the U.S. So we won. We broke a record for the amount of points. We had over 18.5 points, which was the record prior, going into the modern era. So we stomped that ass.
Nice.
That was the best part, and yesterday was a perfect day for the Eagles not to be on because I watched the Ryder Cup or had it on in the background while I was cleaning a shed and doing some other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fucking great. It's nice to fucking have that national pride, It's just to go out there and be like, yep, we have the best golfers, and we've had the best golfers in the past, but they just didn't mesh like this team did to be able to go out and win. So awesome. I can't wait till it's in Rome next year, I think.
Okay.
And in 2027 is when it's. That doesn't make sense. 2026 maybe. It's at Adair.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So I'm trying to I want to get tickets to be able to go to see it while it's at Adair.
Would you stay at Adair? I'm sure they wouldn't have availability.
Dude,
right?
it's I'm not going to be able to probably stay within a fucking 100 miles of that place. I mean, honestly, I have family, distant cousins that live up in Northern Ireland.
Oh, okay.
So if a worst case scenario, I'd be like, hey, cuz, yeah, I know we've maybe saw each other once in fucking 40 plus years, but I'm going to need your floor.
Right.
So,
good times.
yeah, it's fucking fantastic. And the Phillies are in a pennant race right now. So they got a big series against Atlanta coming up where they could potentially win the NL East. So it's been good stuff if you're a sports fan. Kind of sports is what I hide in. When it comes, I don't watch TV otherwise.
Yeah.
Because it's not healthy, honestly. Television, the way the media is and everything else, it's just bad in general. But I'll hide in sports and follow those teams, and that's what sports is for. It's entertainment. It's to be in that reality for a little bit. And it's been good. It's been good for me personally anyway. Now we'll see what happens after tonight, where I'm all fucking pissed off that we lost to the goddamn Cowgirls.
Well, I hope not. I'll be pulling for the Eagles because I hate the Cowboys.
Didn't your fucking 49ers lose yesterday?
Well, yeah, but I knew they were going to lose. And I actually went to bed at halftime when they were down 17-0. And I'm like, this is about how I expected because their defense, the fucking injuries, man. It's like every series, too, last night, they were carting another defender off.
Dude, that was the Eagles last year.
Yeah.
It was like you had an ambulance packed and you had to bring another one in.
Yeah, but the 49ers, they have no secondary. It seems like for as long as I've been watching them, they've never had a good secondary.
What are you talking about? You had Richard Sherman.
Get the fuck out of here. You mean the guy that gave up the big touchdown that gave the Chiefs the lead in the Super Bowl? That guy? That Richard Sherman?
Yeah, Richard Sherman. And then now you have fucking Norman.
Sure.
He was good 10 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sure he was. But I knew fucking Rodgers was just going to light it up. And he did. They basically just let him throw. But apparently, after I went to bed, the Niners came back and took the fucking lead and then gave the game up in the last 27 seconds of the game, according to what I read this morning. So I'm like, that sounds about right.
Yeah. I'm actually going to look real quick. I wanted to see how Rodgers did. But we'll see that for the after show.
Yeah. So, yeah, more football talk after the show on YouTube. That being said, you all done?
Yes.
All right. Are we ready to get into our main topic? Do you need a break or anything?
I need to pee.
All right, then we're going to take a quick break before we get into our main topic and be right back after this word from our sponsors. By the way, the Bronco Fett meme, did you see it with the snaps?
Yes.
Fucking classic. That's like my favorite thing that I've seen in a long time.
Fuck your snaps.
I said the real snaps. Perfection. That was really good, Tom. I really, really like that one. Get caught up on the chat here. Just drinking water tonight, guys. It's just water, so no alcohol for me for a while. All right, we got Hector. Dave teaching woodshop. That'd be funny. Oh yeah, Stoneblaze. He might beat me in total points this week. In fact, let's see where we are right now, projection-wise. Oh, your text, Kristen. He did not. Triple Brady is right there. Oh, hello. What? Nothing. I had nothing to do with it. This is not me.
Oh my god.
But I do feel like things are starting to escalate a little bit. I don't think you can see them on the camera very well.
Yeah, I don't think you can either.
No. A third Tom Brady pop has entered the studio.
I'm calling her bluff.
And the thing that was told to me was every time he touches a Tom Brady, a new one will appear. So Dave has upped the ante.
Yes.
So I'm good. I don't need to pee. So whenever you're ready, give us a countdown. And we're back. So, excuse me. This week on Disney Plus, well, last week I guess, they dropped Star Wars Visions,
Right.
which we've known about for a while now.
Yep.
And they dropped 9 episodes. I wasn't sure how they were going to distribute this, and they're always really coy about this kind of shit too. They're never very upfront when a new series comes out, like how many episodes it's going to be, how many they're going to release, how often, when. So we never fucking know, but they dropped the whole 9 episode series on Disney Plus, and it's 9 anime themed individual stories set in the Star Wars universe, And just looking at these first four, quite a wide array of different
Yeah.
stories and storytelling methods and animation style.
Yeah, and honestly, I have what's somebody messaged me when the weeb stuff is over. What's that?
I don't know. I don't know what they're talking
I
about.
don't either. Anyway, no. So I tried to. What is on my shoulder?
Oh, it was a bug. Like a moth or something.
Oh my god, I'm so easily distracted today.
Squirrel.
Yeah, I went into this with I'm not. I have a very very tacit understanding of some different anime stories, and I expected it to kind of have this variation and range, but not as much as what was presented.
Sure.
And I'll say, spoiler alert, like the first one, that was like, okay, if it's going to be like this, then I'm going to be excited.
Right.
And it wasn't like that.
Yeah,
So,
that was one end of the spectrum of these 4 episodes.
yeah.
And
Good end.
yeah, and honestly, more well-versed people probably know that style of animation, and these directors and producers of, like, they're all different studios and everything that did these stories. People probably know a hell of a lot more about this than us, but we're just
yeah.
looking at it from a...
Look, you could say that with anything that we talk about.
Sure. But we're going to look at these from a Star Wars fan's perspective who have no clue about fucking anime whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, that being said, the expectations, I was very lukewarm on this when it was first announced.
Yeah.
They announced it, they said what it was going to be. I'm like, okay, sure. No excitement whatsoever on my part. And even going into this, watching these first 4 episodes, I kept my expectations pretty low. I didn't know what to expect. I had done no prior research.
Right.
So I was just keeping an open mind. And
I was the same way. Like, expectation wise, knowing that this isn't geared towards me, right? From where I am in my Star Wars fandom, I think you have to kind of look at it from, they're trying, excuse me, god damn it. They're trying to get to a particular audience. They want to reach this fan base that is, like, religiously into the anime stuff.
right.
And I think, personally, that this is a reach that is smart to make. Because you have people like my daughter, for example, right? She's in her early 20s, and she's into anime, like into nerdy stuff. And at the same time is not really going to, like, she's into Star Wars stuff, I think, by virtue of being my daughter. Like, there's been some of that gene has been indoctrinated into her.
Sure.
So she wants to be able to sit down and be smart about Star Wars stuff. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that are super into anime that are not necessarily into what Star Wars is, because it doesn't, like, how the beat of how this goes, right? It has anime has a particular rhythm to it, and there's certain expectations when you're watching anime that these things aren't these are commonplace. This exposition and everything else makes sense because that's how the story is told. Whereas for us, I think some of that was, why are we going through this level of exposition right now? I mean, I have it a couple times in my notes. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, so we're starting off with this first episode entitled The Duel. And this is again, I don't know how to describe this style of animation, but it's very, very different from any of the other 3 episodes that we're taking a look at. It's very grainy. It's very almost like it's looking through like an old-timey video camera, like an early...
Yeah. I was actually, it's like sketched.
Yes.
Right? It's like a rough sketch of the whole thing. So if you were storyboarding, like, this is what it would look like.
Yeah.
Black and white, very few lit things, which makes sense, right? Because the things that are lit, you want to stand out, like lightsabers, for example. But at the same time, I actually was jarred a little bit when I heard, like, normal American English dialogue.
Right.
It kind of was like, I wasn't expecting it to sound like that.
Well, and you know that like they did 2 different recordings, right? They did
Oh, I'm sure.
Japanese dialogue and then they did English dialogue.
Yeah.
So
And I'm willing to bet that there's probably purists out there that would say, watch it with the Japanese dialogue and look for the subtitles, because you're actually going to, it's going to have a more natural rhythm to it. Because like I said, I've been sitting in the room on the computer while my daughter's been watching anime, and she'll watch this shit, and it's in Japanese, and she's just reading the subtitles, but it's not like it fits, right? It's not it for us. It's like the reverse of what we're thinking about with dubbing, right? When you think of dubbing, and their mouth is moving, and you know, it's the opposite of that. And it was very, very jarring for me to like hear them talk like that, and I was surprised. I was surprised by that.
yeah.
Because my expectation was to hear something more Japanese-like, I guess.
Okay. I mean, I guess that was one of the pieces of prior knowledge I did have going into this, was that it did have some famous actors doing the English dub, so I knew that that was a thing. But either way, so it starts off with this wanderer, the Ronin is what he was called, and he's walking through. Basically, it looks like these like rice fields or whatever. It's the aesthetic of most of these episodes, at least the ones that take place on planets, very like Asian, Japanese, Chinese sort of architecture and aesthetic and everything going on.
Yeah. R2D2 with a
with
the rice patty hat on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I'm like, okay. And yeah, he wanders into this village that's under siege. So already I'm asking questions like, all right, what's going on here? They say that they are the last remnants of the war, that they either were former like stormtroopers or they stole stormtrooper armor and equipment. And I noticed it was First Order stormtroopers, not like classic original trilogy era stormtroopers.
Right.
So already I'm thinking like, okay, this is like post Rise of Skywalker, evidently, after the First Order has fallen, and you've already got this rogue group of guys who now have just become fucking bandits and criminals that are just terrorizing this fucking little village, which has all of these really cool droid guards. Like their town is kind of protected by these fucking droids. Like there's one fucking protocol droid. It's got like a flamethrower and shit. It's actually it's pretty awesome.
and they're not all droids. I mean, they're the ones. Fuck.
Oh, there was a sand person in there too. I'm like, where the hell did that come from?
And there was I can't think of the lizard one.
Oh,
The fuck it. Oh, Dave.
yeah, I know. I was about to say Rhodian, but it's not the Rhodians.
Nope, it's not coming.
Just the chat will help us out in a minute. You all right over there?
Trying to spit it out. It's not happening.
Yeah. So, and they're all led by this female,
Jimmy.
like Sith Lord, I guess, or she's a Dark Lord. They refer to her as.
Right. Well, she referred to herself as a Dark Lord.
Yes. So we really don't know.
Right.
But I think she did. Yeah, she did have some force power that she used throughout this, and the samurai guy, or the Ronin, whatever you want to call him, he decides to start standing up for the village and trying to help them out. And when she goes to confront him, she pulls out her lightsaber, which is obviously a red lightsaber, and he pulls out his like samurai sword hilted lightsaber. It's also red.
Right.
So that starts,
Yeah, it obviously it throws her. Before we get to that, we have this, like, she has a lightsaber. You have the band of misfits that are helping like defend these hired hands, right?
Yep.
That are there to defend the village, and you have this child who's the chief, right? Because apparently the father's died or whatever,
or is dying. He's like
dying.
in a fucking hut. And he's like,
Yeah. So you have this child chief, and who knows that, hey, we hired these guns to fucking help protect us, and she fucking whips out this fucking umbrella lightsaber.
Yes, that's exactly what I called it. Was the
Yeah.
umbrella lightsaber?
Yeah, it starts spinning that fucking shit around, and
she was wearing high heels, by the way, too. I don't know if you caught that.
Heels. There's several. I have in my notes. I took notes, people. That's what threw me off today, because I took notes. Several indications. Several times these characters are wearing heels for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
I had it.
So we were talking about the umbrella lightsaber.
Oh, Don's got a Trandoshan.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the lizard.
He was like the lizard. He was like the leader of that particular group that she fucking is choking out. And ends up taking the umbrella fucking thing and shoving it through him.
Mm. Yeah. So yeah, she confronts the Ronin guy. He's got a red saber, which again has that samurai sword hilt, and they start fighting. It's I mean, all the action stuff I thought was really cool, even in this animation style. His astromech. So as he's kind of holding her off, and they're having these battles, and they eventually get outside the building, the stormtroopers take back over. Then his fucking astromech is like fucking ready to fight or whatever.
Yeah.
He had to like charge up.
And I thought that was a funny part. It was, okay, I want this droid fixed by the time this pot boils.
Right.
How very Japanese.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'm going to base my timing off of how long it takes water to boil.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's done by then I'm going to fucking hit my magic button and fucking have the what do they call in the Mandalorian? The fucking
the whistlers or whatever.
Yeah, I whistled. I don't think that's what they're called though. It's whistle or something.
Yeah, but yeah, the fucking missiles. Yeah, and this droid was packing a lot of heat.
Excuse me.
Yeah, and he came out and he just like fucking shit wrecked everything.
Yep. Except for her,
right?
But distracted her to the point. Her and her giant fucking hair, giant Bride of Frankenstein fucking hair that she had going.
Yeah, but again, that's part of the animation style. And he eventually defeats her. He takes the fucking kyber crystal out of her saber and opens up his fucking coat at the end, and you can see he's got a whole fucking collection in there.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a massive backstory to this fucking guy.
Yeah.
Because somehow he's collecting kyber crystals from lightsabers. He's not exactly a Jedi. Wields a red saber, so you got to wonder what the fuck this dude's backstory is.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, after this episode, I made a mental note that's like, if they're going to be like this, if we're going to continue, I would watch a season of just following this guy around.
Yeah, this guy and this animation style and everything else.
Like, whatever he runs into, it's that perfect. It's kind of like how the Mandalorian is. Like, you have this like this Western style fucking,
or at least how it was set up to be, but then it
Yeah.
quickly changed into something else. This could actually be that show.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I of the four that we watched, this is probably the one I enjoyed the most.
he's like Kang from the Kung Fu, walking from place to place, getting into adventures and shit.
Yep.
So yeah, it was entertaining.
How would you make money?
So basically, you're going to be a bum. But yeah, no, I found it pretty entertaining. Like you, I could probably watch a season of this, assuming it was part, we knew it was canon or something, which we're going to get into the whole canon discussion after we talk about these 4 episodes. But we we shift gears into a whole separate gear with the episode Tatooine Rhapsody.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a gear there, all right, and we fucking apparently did grind it to find it fucking gear.
Yeah. So this starts off. It immediately starts off. You can tell that it's in the Clone Wars era because there's a fucking face down dead clone trooper, the fucking dead Jedi right next to him, I think, and then you see this Padawan like running away. This is something I'm kind of starting to get tired of. Is this fucking trope that Disney has decided to take and just start running with, like all of these fucking leftover Padawans from The Purge? Like, how many times have they told this fucking story now? Oh, since they took over the fucking canon.
Yeah.
Like, they seem to really, really draw a lot of inspiration from this time in Star Wars, which that just kind of goes to show, again, the world that Lucas built. Right? Mm-hmm. He built this fucking fantastic world with so much detail and so much background that they can continue to pluck shit from this era and create all this new content for it.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at the stuff that Disney themselves created, you can't really pluck much from that to make like oh man, we're going to have these people that survived the Battle of Crate, and then we're going to have all these, stories about that. And
well, there's probably something to be said about where we are, like just canonically with everything. Like, and information accessibility that we have now, right?
Sure.
During the prequel, it's like we were still gleaning our fucking Star Wars information out of books.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how you were getting your fucking Star Wars.
Yep.
You know, for a long time, and now we've been inundated with Star Wars.
Yeah.
So like you said, it's going to be really, really hard to pick from what would be the tail end of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
Let's say. Hence why you have to fucking reach back and go for like the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic and things like that. Like, all right, let's make this canon real.
So, but anyway, that was just me kind of ranting a little bit. I think it's time Disney, like, we get it. You love that era, as does everybody, but I think you've milked it pretty dry, so we can kind of move on.
I have a feeling we're going to see more and more of it.
Okay. Either way, so this child, this Padawan, gets away, and all we catch is a quick glimpse of him getting taken away or saved by the silhouette of what we find out later is a hut.
Right.
That saves him and takes him to safety, in which
Brunch hut.
Yeah, which we quickly find out what that refuge and that safety is. They're in a band.
It's a band, man.
And man, the difference in this fucking episode versus the last one,
Yeah.
it could not be more night and day.
Let me talk about what I liked in this episode.
Yeah. Because I'm not going to completely shit on this because I kind of enjoyed this episode also.
Yeah. I think there was a lot of good stuff aside from the singing.
Okay.
Pizza the Hut. We're having a Spaceballs reference in the chat.
Yeah.
The singing was awful, especially towards the end, like that longer sequence. But I kind of like the animation. I like I have Tiny Boba.
Yeah.
You know, where
it was so cute, and it was voiced by Tamura Morrison.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I did notice that for some of these, like they had the actual, like the original voices. It wasn't it wasn't totally out there. I like the elements to this animation, like the little tiny, like I've seen anime with this kind of more cartoonish type style. Like it's something you recognize, but it's more cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they went to a level of detail with Boba that you immediately knew it was him.
Oh yeah.
On sight. I mean, obviously, we know these characters so well that we're going to be able to do that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it was directly evident. Okay, here's where we are in a canon. Here's where we are in this timeline. You know, yada yada yada. The Padawan himself, I could really give a shit about. Right? It's because he fucking he falls down. His lightsaber doesn't work anymore. His lightsaber turns into a fucking magic wand, or otherwise known as a microphone.
Yeah.
And then that's all you get out of it. I enjoyed the Tatooine stuff, like the backdrops.
Yes, that shot where they're going into the arena, the fucking pod racing arena, which apparently is also where they do public executions.
Yeah.
You know, that there was this awesome 3D shot of like the camera coming down over that. It was really, really nice.
Yeah,
looking.
it was that part of it I really enjoyed. I enjoyed how they animated Jabba. I even liked the fucking the Force Awakens droid that was the double electric guitar player.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed some of this animation. Like, and I almost felt bad about it. I'm like, oh man, the singing rock thing is like really fucking annoying. Again, it's probably appealing to a specific genre of anime.
Sure.
Because the tendrils of different anime fucking go long and deep.
Indeed they do. Now, you and I kind of had a discussion about this a long time ago when Disney first took over Star Wars and they started doing like spin-off movies and things like that. We kind of talked about some of the possibilities and some of the crazy things they could do that take place in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
And I mean, how far-fetched really is it that a fucking band is formed in this galaxy and is trying to like become a big fucking Star Wars rock band? You know, I mean,
I don't know. All I know is the Cantina band was upset with these kids performing.
Were they upset? Because all we saw was like their final performance was going like all over the HoloNet, and they were sitting there watching it in the fucking cantina.
To me, that body language read as like they were irritated that somebody else was playing playing a gig that they should be doing.
Oh, I see.
That's the body language that I got.
Gotcha.
Because you can't read shit on those fucking faces. They're like, "Are you emoting right now? Like, what exactly is happening?"
Yeah.
Stick that fucking clarinet straight into your fucking hole and play us a tune.
Yeah. So you talked about voices before. Geezer, the Hut, which by the way, the whole plot of this episode is the Hut Geezer who's in this band,
Right.
who saved fucking Jay.
The Grunge Hut. Yeah.
Yeah. Is like apparently he's part of Jabba's family and he didn't want to be like a gangster, so
want to be a gangster.
so Jabba sent the fucking dogs out to get him and to fucking bring him back and kill him. So I was expecting him to be like Jabba's fucking son. Remember the son he had from fucking Clone Wars that's kicked off the Clone Wars? I was expecting him to be that fucking son. But I mean, we really never found out who he was outside of, some sort of Hutt family line.
This is a storyline that I don't care to see come to fruition. I do
Fair
not
enough.
give a flying fuck about a Padawan who can't seem to fucking find his way into I don't know, using his force ability at all.
Right.
Like, at all. He's certainly not using it to help his fucking singing voice.
Well, he was a kid. He was a kid. But anyway, so the voice of Geezer the Hutt, I immediately recognized as Bobby Moynihan, who used to be on SNL, probably most known for his drunk uncle character.
Yeah.
Like, I recognize his voice immediately. But I'm listening to Jay, I'm like, I know that voice. So I went and looked at it after the fact. It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who did the voice of Jay.
Yep.
But, and also, as I mentioned, Tamora Morrison came back to do the voice of Boba Fett, which is awesome. But more important than any of that, Mark Thompson, who does the Star Wars audiobooks. The guy who, if he was here right now, I'd be on the floor licking his balls. He did several voices in this. He did Lan, which I think was the guitar-playing droid, and a couple other uncredited voices. But he is starting to get incorporated into more Star Wars content
As he
outside
should.
of
Because-
the audiobooks.
Yeah, because he's the voice of Star Wars right now.
Yeah,
Think about it.
he's so fucking talented. Like, I love that guy. And yeah, he did some voices for that. But yeah, either way, it ended happily ever after. Yeah, I loved your analogy with the lightsaber magic wand /
Yeah.
microphone at the end. That was an interesting thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they made peace with Jabba and lived happily ever after, we assume.
Yeah.
So
Don't care.
yeah. This next episode was titled The Twins. The closest anime style I can think of for this is the only anime that I ever really was familiar with or watched was Voltron back in the day.
Okay.
Like I'm sure you watched Voltron back in the day
yeah.
too. I was like, there was a period of about a year where like I was all about fucking Voltron. Both Voltrons, by the way. I watched both the one that everybody knew with the fucking 5 lions, but there was also that secondary one where it was like the 20 cars in space that all formed a separate Voltron.
I remember that.
Yeah, so I remember watching that one too. It was always off on at like during off times. You could tell that it was not like the main brand.
True.
So, and I'd love to go back and do some research and find out the story behind that.
We could probably do a whole episode on Voltron because
Yeah.
there was toys involved in the Voltron series, and they did a reboot of some of the stuff.
Oh yeah, and then they also made Power Rangers when we were
Yeah.
like 16 years old and Power Rangers became a big thing for kids. I remember watching it being like, wait a minute.
That's
I was like that.
fucking
I was
Voltron.
like that Leo meme though.
It's so true.
Yeah. So, but anyway, like I equate this to like close to that anime style, but this one's a lot more detailed. But it seems closer to that than anything else that I'm familiar with.
I really want to talk to my daughter and her boyfriend because they're into anime, and I'm really curious to see what their equation to those styles is.
Yeah. Because I'm sure all of these have a name. Like I'm sure there's some sort of name or style associated with all these different types of animation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but this one is called The Twins, and it starts off where basically we're told the story of these twins, a brother and a sister, where right away I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, is this like Luke and Leia? And we're seeing remember the Star Wars Infinities comics that we talked about? Like this is an alternate universe kind of story about them.
Yes.
And the kid, the fucking, the brother, what the hell is his name? They had
pop into my head.
Yeah, they had stupid fucking names.
Am is the broad, and Neil Patrick Harris.
Well, hold on, we haven't gotten to there yet.
That's the only name that's popping in my head.
Yeah. So Kare. Yeah, Kare and Am
Oh yeah,
were the brothers and sisters.
I was so close.
But yeah, initially I'm thinking, oh, we're getting some sort of a retelling of Luke and Leia and like, maybe some sort of alternate universe. But no, apparently they're just twins who, at least the kid happens to look like Luke. The girl doesn't look anything like Leia. But
Facts.
yeah, where they were made by and for the dark side. Oh, before I even get into that, this had the best opening shot. They all had good opening shots, by the way.
This had the best one.
Yeah, where they either like pan down from the stars to a planet or whatever. But this one starts out with the fucking stars, like a star background, except there's a black void in the shape of a fucking Star Destroyer.
Yeah, you know right away it's a fucking Star Destroyer.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like, okay.
And it lingers on that for quite a while.
Like, okay, I'm all right. I'm curious now. I can get into this.
And then we get the double penis fucking Star Destroyer. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here watching this, and we're going through the episode. I'm like, this makes no logical sense. The structure of these two fucking Star Destroyers, like tip to tip, with the big gun in the middle.
Yeah, it would make more sense if they were using like the, the reactor system from both to power like one thing. Instead of having this like one fucking kyber crystal.
Yeah.
Which
is like the size of the dude's fist.
Yeah, which we know, like there's canon out. I'm pretty sure it's canon anyway that the Death Star was built around kyber.
Yeah, it's a movie called Rogue One that you don't seem to like.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's very forgettable. Apparently. But yeah, so we know that the kyber can be used for these super weapons.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, that's right. That fucking I was making connections with fucking everything else besides Rogue One.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So, yeah, like one of my first notes here, though, is what the fuck? 2 connected Star Destroyers?
Yeah.
And it looks so weird. And so, but the brother and sister, Kare and Am, they're in like Vader-like armor, right? They're in these fucking dark suits, and they seem very, very evil. What we don't realize is that it starts off with Kare stealing that fucking kyber source, while the sister Am is just like, yes, we will destroy the galaxy, and she's like super fucking evil and everything, and she's all in on the dark side, while homeboy is like, nah, we're gonna steal this and we're gonna get out of here. And so obviously he's a little conflicted. Oh, and they referred to this as a Gemini class Star Destroyer.
Right.
At this point, I'm still not sure if we're looking at a fucking alternate universe or what. Even though they have different names, it wasn't until she took off her helmet later on that I'm like, okay, that's definitely not Leia. So, and they also mentioned both the Republic and the Empire in this. So, trying to decipher in my head when this took place, this seemed to be more Empire era.
Yeah, I looked at the configuration of the Star Destroyers, aside from the fucking, being joined at the hip bit. By the way, before episode 2 with the fucking band, like, isn't the idea of a drummer with fucking 4 bodies just really interesting?
It is interesting.
How much sound could that one thing make?
It almost be a little overwhelming, It's
holy could you just imagine, like, you get the drummer from Slipknot who just recently passed away. Make 4 of him in one body.
Well, except they only have one pair of legs. That's the only problem.
Oh fuck! If you got all those arms, you could fucking be running the goddamn the bass from somebody else's arms. Just anyway.
I don't know. How do we know they're just not fucking Siamese twins or Siamese triplets that haven't been separated yet?
Facts. Yeah. Just like these Star Destroyers in episode 3, which is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Oh my god. Okay, so the whole plot line about this again is the brother's still in the fucking kyber source. Apparently he's having second thoughts. The sister's all in on the dark side. She's chasing him down.
Right.
So much of this episode takes place, and again, we're in the middle of space. Yes. We're not fucking docked.
Right.
We're not anywhere. We're just in the middle of fucking space.
Yep.
And it just takes place on the surface of a Star Destroyer, where they're fighting and they're having these duels. Yep. No helmets. No helmets. Well, not yet. I'm sure you saw the helmet towards the end, but no helmets to speak of. They're just out there. No gasping for breath.
No, yep.
No nothing.
My note says breathing in space? Question mark. Apparently. Dot, dot, dot.
Right. And so much wacky shit happens to where he hops on an X-wing. First of all, how did he get an X-wing onto the Star Destroyer? And
Right.
is X-wing the symbol for good in?
Yes, obviously. Obviously. Because you have our duo, right? Isn't that the...
Yeah.
So you have our duo. You have annoying fucking 3PO.
Right, but he was all black, though.
How do you make C-3PO even more fucking obnoxious?
Well,
how
he was
do you
just
do that?
like-
You make him look cool, so he gets you kind of it teases you a little bit, oh, okay, this would be cool, and then make him fucking just suck dick so bad.
Yeah,
God, shut the fuck up, you whiny sack of shit.
Yeah, he was so subservient to what's her name and just so
Damn.
licking her ass all the time. But so yeah, no, they're having this battle on the surface of the fucking Star Destroyer. No oxygen. Then there's one point where he's like, okay, the only way we can fucking save this thing is if I, put my lightsaber through this fucking kyber crystal that she's putting into her suit and is absorbing and all this stuff. But you have to go to light speed for me to do it. So he's on the top of an X-wing.
Right.
With his lightsaber up.
Yep.
And then they go to light speed.
Yep.
And then they pull a holdo maneuver. And I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
How is this happening?
No. This episode could have been so good.
Yeah.
If you didn't decide that, okay, yes, there's Star Wars physics, right? We know that, okay, suspension disbelief, whatever, right? Space horses. But they're outside of the fucking spacecraft. They're fucking riding X-wings like goddamn surfboards.
Yeah.
And, that type of shit. Press play. Cheers. That type of shit just drives me fucking insane.
Oh, yeah.
It already makes me, I have a tough time with it already.
Yeah.
And then now let's fucking make it the basically of the 15 minutes this is, it's 8 minutes of this fucking shit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, and the best part was the aftermath of this. The girl's floating in space, right? And the fucking droid comes to save her, and he's wearing a helmet! He's wearing an oxygen helmet! And he's like, oh, my lady, let me help you. The droid!
the droid is wearing
The droid is wearing a helmet!
Yeah. Because...
Look it in those big letters. The droid is wearing a fucking helmet!
Dude, yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? How many mushrooms did these fuckers eat when they decided to animate this thing?
I just don't think that they were thinking about it. I think they just okay, this is the context of where we are. Keep their fucking helmets on. They're both wearing helmets at some point. Mm-hmm. He rips his off I'm the good guy. It spikes his fucking helmet down.
Yeah.
She's wearing it all the way up to the point where apparently, to show that you're really part of the dark side, you have to fucking take your helmet off.
Yeah.
I guess that's the thing. Strangely attractive. The
Well,
character.
so that brings us to the voices. Because I knew I recognized these voices.
Okay.
Right away, but I couldn't quite put my finger on them. You already mentioned fucking Kare was Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes.
Which I'm like, okay, I could see that. And then I saw who Am was. I'm like, oh, it's played by Alison Brie. Who,
Ooh.
I don't know how familiar you are with her, but I'm a huge fan of the show Community. And I am madly in love with her. And I would kill a motherfucker just to, be able to sniff her butt. And yeah, I am all about Alison Brie. And the reason why I recognized her voice is because she did the voice of Unikitty in the Lego movie. Because, because there were certain points during this episode where she screamed, she's like, ah, I'll have the thing. And that voice was the same as the Unikitty voice.
That's where I heard that from. I'm like, oh, this scream is familiar.
Yes.
That's fucking hilarious. Yeah. I found Am strangely attractive. I don't know what it was. It just is I caught myself in a moment going why? I don't get it, because her character's really fucking annoying.
Yeah.
I really, there was so much potential here. I wrote in my notes exposition, again, we're spending a lot of time in these 15 minutes with exposition. Guess that's a thing in anime, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You saw TIE fighters for half a second. Like I was,
Yeah, very, very briefly.
I'm dying for some fucking TIE fighters to like be more involved in this, right?
Yeah. And you might get a payoff later on in the series.
Maybe.
But not in these first 4
episodes. It might be out there,
episodes.
although it's been out for a while now, a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen anything like, cross my feed of like TIE fighter greatness. So I doubt that it's there. Because I'll be honest with you, like episode 4, whatever, but my expectation for all of this is predicated on that there's an anime version of like it's a TIE pilot fucking going through his entire startup sequence and fucking like it's fucking tastic.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want that. I will sit there and watch that shit for fucking I'll pass out watching it. Like that's the kind of shit that I really want. Again, this is me. I'm a fucking TIE pilot fanatic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was hoping for that. You have space, you have Star Destroyers. It started out with so much potential, and then you breathe in space.
Yeah, and
not
even
trying to fucking like
no
breathers on or something. Nope.
No, it was I mean, we're always telling people you do need to suspend your disbelief a little bit with Star Wars, but this is too much.
Yep.
Even though I did like some of the visual style of it, the things that they did just took me too much out of it. So,
yeah, I agree.
Then we get into the last episode that we're talking about today, The Village Bride. I found this to be kind of the most boring of the 4,
right?
The least interesting.
You mean an episode where you're gonna have a dude carrying a broad in a fucking chair up a mountain?
Yeah. Well,
like, that's not going to be the most interesting thing you've ever watched.
Well, so initially, like, we're introduced to this couple that's getting married and everything, and we know that like tomorrow, like the people are coming for her. So I'm thinking we got some like Star Wars prima nocta going on here, like. The fucking the Empire's about to roll up and
right.
take this bride on her wedding night kind of thing.
Right.
But it wasn't that cool.
Why did I think of Spies Like Us? Remember that scene in Spies Like Us, like after the missile launches and they're like, "Oh, it's the end of the world," so they fucking all get shacked up.
Yeah.
Spies Like Us. It's fucking. We need to do Spies Like Us.
We can add it to the queue. But yeah, overall, this centers around, again, another fucking Padawan who survived the Purge. Like, they just keep going back to that. And now she lands on the fucking planet of her master, where there's all this shit going on with these bad guys who, like, always need to have, like, the fucking leader of this village captive. Some shit. It was so boring. I did not enjoy this at all.
Authentic droid voices, right? You had like all the voice work that was done for the droids was legit, right? So the concept of having like we've seen in Clone Wars, like we have this this droid sergeant, basically, for lack of a better term, because I can't think of what the actual terminology is.
Mm-hmm.
You have this droid sergeant that they fucking have that they can reboot the goddamn droids for. Like, all right, cool. We'll make these droids work, have some fucking, bad guys. Honestly, to me, this is totally believable. This scenario, between this one and the first one with the Ronin, totally believable that there would be renegade, people.
Like, post-war, taking advantage of these small villages and everything.
Yeah, like, hey, I have power. I can project this power, like, with my equipment and stuff like that. Like, and now that suddenly, they're fucking... Now they're in East Africa trying to fucking take over their governments, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's always cool to see their Roger.
The
battle droids.
So the premise is believable. I think this is probably my favorite Padawan of these 4.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't a bad character. I thought the whole presentation of this episode was very slow and very dull.
Yeah, the things that I liked about it were I like the animation style.
Yeah, animation was good.
I liked the fact that if you're going to have fucking droids, like prequel droids, that you're going to have the actual voices. They're going to act fucking retarded, like
they always do.
Like that's how they act. So it's fucking perfectly in character. I'm all about that. I agree, though. I think that armchair quarterbacking, right? But like the idea of like this sister being sacrificed and the other hotter sister now is like fucking like, yeah, we want to fight. And, like
Yeah.
there could have been something else there, as opposed to.
Well, I think the husband was fucking the sister, but
I think he was fucking all of them.
Probably.
Honestly, I mean, anyway, yeah. And what can you do in 15 minutes, right? Like
that's true.
for
Yeah.
me-
Yeah, I just watched that buzz right by your head.
holy shit. It's like a fucking bird from Birdemic. Yeah, I just like you don't have that much time. You're trying to tell this story. You probably could have told that story better by eliminating 5 minutes of fucking homeboy carrying her so her feet don't get dirty.
Yeah,
Up to the fucking,
telling each other about how much.
up to touch the magic rock, and then suddenly it turns into a valley.
And now you're married.
Now you're at a fucking ceremony, and everyone's all pissed off.
Yeah.
Okay. Fucking cool.
Yeah. So, one thing that was kind of, I guess, neat and fit this style was the lightsaber of that
Yeah.
Padawan. It was an actual samurai sword blade.
Flat katana style.
Yeah.
And it was yellow too. So
Yeah.
it like, I don't know whether they're reaching back for like Rey as being like this independent from the Jedi Order or whatever, or like reaching back into some storyline. But I think the coloring of the lightsabers so far in this theme, it's not necessarily what you would expect.
Right.
Like if she is a fallen Padawan, you would expect a blue or green lightsaber,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't. Same thing with the Ronin character. Like you're not expecting him to have a red lightsaber, and fuck, neither is his enemy.
Yeah.
So it's interesting going that direction. I like that idea. The problem with these episodes so far is that they're only these shorts.
Yes.
Right? We have no idea, like, what are you teasing me for? Because this is Star Wars, right?
Yes. And that's kind of what I wanted to close this with was, like, why do I care? Is
Right.
basically my question. Like, they're entertaining stories. They're neat to watch once, but is there any canon that's ever going to be gleaned from this? Because as of right now, these are considered not canon.
Right.
So already you're kind of taking away any of the hardcore Star Wars fans out of it a little bit by saying we're presenting you with this new stuff, this new content, but it's not canon. So I can see from one perspective if they're like, okay, we're just going to kind of give you this telling of these other characters that we may or are definitely going to use later, or this is going to be the start of a series that will be canon or something. But as of right now, it's just these 9 shorts, no canon to them whatsoever, nothing that's going to become of them after this.
Yeah. It really makes me wonder, and this seems like super obvious, so it's definitely not the answer, but are you trying to get like fan input to what would be workable for a series?
Maybe. And
Like-
maybe that's what they're doing. They're planting those seeds
Yeah.
to see what sticks, I
Yeah,
guess.
like what if you're going to pursue the anime track? Like, are people watching this?
Mm-hmm.
Are they how many repeat watches? And based on that, if you're looking at repeat watches, like, okay, which one is the most repeated? You
Yeah.
know, which one is the best one? I mean, out of these 4, the first one was definitely my favorite. As far as if we're going to do this, this kind of brooding Japanese, like kind of like really really edgy type animation with this wandering samurai type.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be all about that.
Yeah.
Out of all of this, like, I don't necessarily need to have the comedic elements that were in the fucking one with with Tiny Boba.
The Tatooine Rhapsody.
Right.
See, I'm kind of a different opinion. Now, if somebody said, which one of these would you like to see canonized and continued, I'd pick the first one as well. But as far as entertainment value goes, I was actually more entertained by the band one, the Tatooine Rhapsody, than any of the other 3.
Yeah. Is that sustainable, though? I mean, what are you going to do?
Probably.
Hello?
Sorry about that interruption. We had to open a jar. But yeah, like, how long is it sustainable? I don't know. I guess it depends on your writing and your production and everything else, but probably not more than a season. But your thing, the Wanderer, the Ronin, that you could probably make a whole series out of that, like 2 or 3 seasons kind of deal, like the Mandalorian that we talked about.
Yeah.
A very similar storytelling style as at least the beginning of the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So-
No, and that's me personally. That's what I could get behind. The other thing, you brought up the with the band.
Mm-hmm.
They drive in the fucking like the atypical fucking this van that the band is all piled into.
Yep.
That's the fucking stage. Like on that first sequence, right? They fucking all right, we're gonna fly away. They're flying away in the fucking like the van is the stage.
Yeah.
Like that's actually pretty unique way to go tour, right? Hey, we're gonna do a show. Brr, let's open the side of the
we're just
fucking
gonna
van
pull
up.
up somewhere, open
Right.
up, and
Like here we are, we're the best. And sing terribly.
Yeah. So we have 5 more episodes of this to go, which
Yeah.
I think we should watch the others.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd just be curious to see where else they go with this. Again, I'm very tepid on it just because, like, again, why should I care about these characters or the story or anything else if it's all non-canon anyway and it's all just for fun?
Yeah, the problem with Star Wars and us as Star Wars fans is that there's always this anticipation of like, how does this connect to the greater picture?
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars is huge, and as hardcore Star Wars fans, I think to not address the fact that this like where we are in the canon, and oh by the way, we've eliminated so many good stories. Like, we're Disney, and we had a lot of good fucking stories, but fuck you and fuck them. We're gonna create our own non-canon that you're supposed to get excited about. Like, Star Wars isn't the thing to watch for a 15-minute. All right, I watched 15 minutes of this and I enjoyed it. I'm going to move on with my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Star Wars.
Yeah,
and I think most of the fan base is going to be that way. It's like, okay, wow, that was interesting, cool.
Yeah,
it was different,
but... Yeah, I think in this case it actually worked because any longer in any of these episodes, and I probably would have checked out. I'd have been like, eh.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a reason that they're only 15 minutes long. But
Exactly.
how much of a story can you really tell in just 15 minutes?
Yeah, so it was interesting. And again, I'm not shitting on it. I was entertained by a couple of the episodes, just kind of lukewarm on the others. But I'm
going forward. I am looking at this as if Disney was going to pursue an anime series,
mm-hmm.
like they did with Resistance, the animation style was a certain way.
Yeah.
But if you went full bore into anime storytelling and everything else, this is their audition. Like, here's these 9 different flavors, different directors, different writers. What's going to stick? What can we get people interested in, and how is this marketable for Disney? Like, ultimately, like, I'm a Disney shareholder. What is this doing for me?
Yeah.
Is it getting people? We're trying to capture an anime audience. You're not going to do it by releasing 15-minute shorts indefinitely.
Right.
Like, you're going to need to do something to get that particular audience.
Do something. And, how are they attracting people who don't have Disney Plus already to then subscribe and to watch this stuff? How are they getting this out to that Asian market? I don't know.
And it's not just Asian. It's like I said, there's a flavor of nerddom that is super, super into this.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, if they're not already into Star Wars, like, is this gonna get them into Star Wars?
I don't know. I would have told you before we're seeing an episode that was the intent, but now that I've seen 4 episodes of it, I don't know that that's necessarily the intent. And if it is the intent, then it's a swing and a miss for me. But again, I'm not the target audience.
Yeah. So, but we'll finish up the series probably soon after we reconvene.
Right.
From our
hiatus.
Yes. So, that being said, I don't think we actually talked about how long we're going to be powering down for.
If you don't mind, I'll power down for a while. Real quick.
Yeah.
So, I updated my phone to iOS 15, right?
Well, there goes all your porn.
It's all the porn gone. So I did that, and it has like this new do not disturb functionality, right? And I have it set so that if I do not disturb on, unless it's a fucking emergency, only my favorites can fucking call in.
Mm-hmm.
While we're sitting here, I got a fucking phone call from a number that's amazingly similar to mine. Like everything except for the last 4 are the same as my phone number, right? Which is a dead giveaway that it's a fucking robocall.
Yep.
But they called 3 times in a row. So it's like they knew I was on Do Not Disturb and fucking kept dialing until it would go through my fucking phone. Like, that's how clever these motherfuckers are getting.
Jesus Christ.
That's how clever it is.
It's fucking
Like,
frustrating.
I'm not going to answer that fucking phone call because I'm the type of person that if I don't recognize your fucking number, text me or leave a voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll see the voicemail and get back to you.
Yep.
Like, I'm at that stage in my life where I'm not just going to randomly answer the fucking phone.
No.
I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah, like, why would anybody ever do that? Quite frankly.
This day and age, having the ability to have a contact list and know who is calling.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is. But that pisses me off.
Yeah.
That pisses me off that we're at a point now where it's like, okay, it's going to have a randomly generated phone number that's similar to mine with the expectation that, if that's his number, then he's probably going to have people he knows with the same number, which kind of isn't really how things work in the United States.
No.
I mean, honestly, it's just because, and maybe it is. Maybe it is. We're military, deal with phone. Like, if you look at my fucking phone contacts, I've got all sorts of fucking area codes in my fucking phone. It's just how it is. It's I think it's the nature of our group. Yeah. Our tribe, as it were. But yeah, that shit fucking pissed me off. I saw it ring, and because it got through my Do Not Disturb, I'm like, oh fuck, I wonder if something's going on. I see it's this fucking robocall. Like that.
Sons of bitches. All right, so we're taking a bit of a hiatus, and it's actually going to be a 2-part hiatus. So after this episode, we are not going to be back recording on our regular Monday nights until October 18th.
Yes.
And that episode, we're going to be talking about Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes.
Because this year it reached its 35th anniversary.
Yes, and
a huge movie for our generation.
Yeah, and apparently one that you're not as fucking you're not as big a fan of as some of the others, and we need to get to the bottom of that.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll talk about it when we talk about the episode. I don't want to blow my wad here, but then
I'd rather you not.
After that, we're going to be taking another potential 2 to 3 week break.
Right.
Coming back probably around November 8th, and that particular episode, the topic is up in the air, but I know some upcoming episodes we want to do. That new Dune movie is coming out.
Yes.
We want to talk about the new Dune movie. We're going to go see that and discuss it on the show. The 20th anniversary of both the original Xbox and the game Halo are coming up, and I really want to talk about those. Those are very, very important to me.
Yeah, I need to get the game so that we can do the online bit.
Yep. Also, there's that new Nickelodeon documentary that hit Hulu not too long ago.
Yes.
I think it was Hulu, and it kind of talks about like the origins of Nickelodeon and everything. And we were going to kind of talk about some of our memories. You can't do that on television, Double Dare, all that stuff.
I don't know.
Exactly. So that's on the docket. Don't know when we're going to get to that exactly. So this is some of the stuff we're looking at. But starting next week, we're going to be on a 2-week break. Come back for 1 episode. Take another couple of weeks to kind of get caught up. And really, I'm still going to be getting the audio episodes of the podcast because if you've noticed, and somebody brought up in the chat, we're many weeks behind on the audio version of the podcast because that started when that fucking computer died on me, and that started a whole other load of problems. So going to be finally getting caught up on the audio. So by the time we reconvene on the 18th, we'll be all caught up audio wise, and then we'll go on another couple week break. And then by the time we get back early November, hopefully all of our batteries are recharged.
Yeah.
Things have kind of settled. I've gotten through all of these fucking work weekends, which by the way, that weekend right before that Monday the 8th of November is another fucking working weekend for me. So again, all the more reason we need to slow it down for just a little while because we got all kinds of shit coming up.
Yeah.
We got fucking the Book of Boba Fett in December. We've got the launch of the James Webb Telescope coming in December still, right? Yep. So huge stuff going on in our worlds. There's another big event going on in December that we need to talk about that I can't remember now. The content is there. So we need to clear our heads, get caught up. In the meantime, in addition to the Red 5, which Dave's going to talk about in just a second, you can go check out our friends, the Escape Pod.
Oh, I got a whole thing.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah. So check them out. Check out Use and Abuse, Scott and Kim, always streaming. The Fett and Orange show. I guess is
Yeah, I have a whole thing for that.
okay. Well, whatever.
Well,
but I'm not reading though. I'm speaking from the heart because I like these people and I care about them.
Well,
and
that's
I wanna,
good. But Kelly also cares about them, and she's more articulate than.
All right.
than
Why don't you just go ahead with your thing then?
If we're talking about friends of the pod, which is what you started to talk about, there will be no Used and Abused podcast on Tuesday.
Oh, sad face.
Scott and Kim are celebrating their daughter Hannah's marriage,
Whatever.
and another pterodactyl flew at me. They're celebrating their daughter Hannah's marriage this past weekend. Congratulations. They will return on Tuesday, October 5th. So if you're looking for some content to fill in your hole, then tune in for them. They do 2 shows, generally speaking, on Tuesday. A 5 a.m. show, which, holy cow, every time. And then a late show. Help me out, Lunar Girl. Anyway, A Booth in the Back returns Wednesday to recap this week's matchups in our Fantasy Football League. Stay tuned for the post show for this show, and Jason and I will talk a little bit about football and stuff.
Yeah.
Join Don Della Snooch, Brady Big Lovin', and Lunar Girl in the booth live 6 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on our Sidebar Cantina Facebook page. Lunar Girl has our Facebook group in the link tree posted in the bio of all of our socials. The Escape Pod will be reviewing the 2018 box office hit Venom as they prepare the release of Venom: Let There Be Carnage. Is that the one with Woody Harrelson?
Yeah.
It's amazing he still gets work.
Yeah.
Anyway, join them live in the chat, YouTube, ATSW, the Escape Pod, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You can stream them on your favorite podcasting app, but you'll be missing out. The chat is where it's at with the Escape Pod.
For sure.
Sweet Studios is waiting for Guitar Heroes. I will read if it's on the prompter. Sweet Studios is awaiting 4 Guitar Heroes and drummer extraordinaires from across the stars to submit pieces and half a dozen incomplete songs. He's got more than half a dozen things. Like, I've seen the list of stuff like that he's started and is waiting like different pieces for.
If it's not a metal cover of Paula Abdul's Rush Rush, I don't give a shit. Until he starts working on that, then I don't care about Sweet Studios.
We need that to happen.
Yeah.
We 100% need that to happen.
Yeah.
Sweet, if you're listening.
Oh, he knows.
Get on that shit.
I mentioned that on Wednesday during Booth in the Back, so
nice.
He knows.
While we wait, subscribe to Sweet Studios on YouTube. Give him a follow on Instagram for the latest updates. He's also Big Swede's Excellent Adventure. Yes, Big Swede's Excellent Adventure. And also Tactical Swede. So follow him in all his exploits. As far as the Red 5 happenings, another Star Wars podcast. Join host Sean, aka Extra Techie, as he returns from a summer podcast hiatus. Good job. Hiatuses are important.
Mm-hmm.
If you like witty banter, dad jokes, and cool sound effects with a Star Wars flair, this is a pod for you. This week he discussed the High Republic with guests Tom from WSTR and Charles from Conversations. You can find another Star Wars podcast on Spotify, Apple, and Google Pods. If you go to YouTube and search Extra Techie, you can find some awesome Star Wars Lego builds, Star Wars book reviews, and your general computer geek stuff that Luna Girl has no knowledge about whatsoever because she's not techie.
We got all kinds of good comments talking about needing Sweet Studios to cover that song.
Get on that shit. I'll bother him at work. Last but not least, for the Red 5, War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast, is our newest Red 5 family member. The family grows and grows.
Like my dick.
Debatable. Hosts John and Will can be found discussing Star Wars on a weekly basis, but with a creative twist. This week's topic, Choose Your Own Adventure, gets you thinking about what your Star Wars stories would be if you were the director.
Oh, I thought they were talking Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Well, I think that's the premise.
Okay.
Except you're doing it with Star Wars.
Did you ever have any of those books?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I had one about the Statue of Liberty. It was very disturbing, actually. Like one of the more disturbing books I read as a kid.
No shit.
Yeah.
I don't think all of them were fairly campy. I don't think I had any that were like.
This one was a bit dark. Yeah, it was kind of dark.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm not a horror guy, but I would definitely. Anyway.
Yeah.
Choose Your Own Adventure style. Find these guys weekly live on YouTube.
Apparently, you're forgetting the Orange and Fetch show right up. You're being yelled at in the chat.
I'm saving that for last.
Okay.
War of the Stars, Star Wars podcast. Find these guys weekly live on YouTube or on your favorite streaming apps. If you have the chance, go check out their past episode, The Trial of Darth Vader, with a favorite of Lunar Girl. I was gonna say if Lunar Girl was on that show. Lunar Girl is getting out there.
She's everywhere.
She's fucking getting on it, and it's fucking fantastic.
She's everywhere, fucker.
Last but certainly not least, the Orange and Fetch Show are currently working on episode 2, where they will be exploring the Idahoverse in the movies Napoleon Dynamite and Idaho Transfer. Idaho Transfer is that bad movie that they want us to do.
Yeah, I didn't realize that those took place in the same universe, or are they just two that take place in Idaho, and they're trying to link them.
I think they take place in the same universe because they've mentioned it over and over again. I'm I guess I'm pay attention to the chat. Or at least I try to, because you're actually giving good information.
Yes, I'm trying to keep us on the rails and everything.
Right, exactly. And so I'll do my diligence and fucking try and keep up with the chat and disrail you when I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've definitely mentioned that. Yeah, they're out on Spotify. Subscribe to these guys on Spotify to be notified of the release of their episode 2. Bronco Fett, one of our originals.
Yeah.
Bronco Fett and Orange Jacket Guy. They're two distinct personalities.
Oh yeah.
And
for being brothers, they're very different.
And it's been amazing having those guys as fans, and it's very entertaining. When they get together and start bullshitting. So,
yep. Or when they're dancing in costume at BSU games.
Dude, nobody would ever question their fucking loyalty and fandom. That is for goddamn sure.
Yep.
And that's it. That's all I have for the reads.
All right, sweet.
We should probably talk about our own stuff. Probably.
I thought we just did.
No. Our stuff.
Such as?
At all things, or our Instagram at the Star Wars. Fuck.
Dude. Wow. How much whiskey did you drink?
None. I literally, you saw how much was in there.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
And I drank mostly water and then this. At the Sidebar Cantina on Instagram.
Yes.
So you can keep up with Lunar Girl and all the stuff that she's doing. I'm sure while we are on our hiatus, Lunar Girl will have amazing things to keep us busy.
Yeah.
Her 30 Days of Star Wars has been fantastic. Really appreciate everyone participating in that. It's always fun to think about Star Wars kind of in the abstract like that.
So. Oh yeah. And I'm sure we'll still be active in the private Facebook group and on Discord.
Discord especially
since I'm still suspended from posting in our Facebook group.
Listen, fucking Facebook, man. It's one of those things where as it's getting to the extreme, right? We thought it was at an extreme, now it's getting worse. Making offhanded comments at all, I think David Schmuck, who's a listener in the Facebook group, apparently they wouldn't let him keep his last name.
Right.
Because it was derogatory.
Because though it's his real last name.
Real fucking last name. And the bots that are fucking monitoring this shit. I think it's with anything. Kind of like last week, Swede was telling me, with our Birdemic episode, you were fully within your rights to review a movie.
Right. And show clips and everything else.
The fact that they shut us off, we could have,
made a case to try to...
Yes,
reverse it and all that.
Those things. That
appeal.
Appeal, thank you. God damn, struggling over here.
I know.
We could have appealed and got whatever content. I mean, you made that work anyway.
Yeah.
But I think the reality is that Facebook and YouTube hasn't... That's our first incident with YouTube.
Yeah.
But... Yeah, and honestly, it should never have happened.
Well, and the great irony is we were able to post that book or that video in full onto Facebook, and they didn't say shit.
Mm-hmm.
So,
the irony, ironic. But yeah, so get over on our Discord. I know there's some people that are steadfast in our Facebook group, our private Facebook group. And they're like, I'm too old for Discord. Look, we're fucking old too.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time over the past month or so when we got on Discord talking about how it's newfangled technology that's been out for probably 10 years. But
yeah,
it's new for us. I kind of like the channel driven content, like so you can go and talk about a particular thing. Like I made a Dave rant one because I had to rant about a particular thing that was driving me insane, and that's where I chose to put it. So
Yeah.
if you're not on our Discord, if you're just holding out because you think you're too old for the technology, it's an app like Facebook or anything else.
And you can even just get to it through the website too.
And you only have to look at our shit because it doesn't inundate you with somebody else's stuff unless you're subscribed to that channel.
Correct.
And so if you just want to see what we're producing and that's the only thing you do on Discord, then that's the only thing that you're going to get notifications for. So I'm driving people to that because I think Facebook is getting a little bit ridiculous, especially in a private group of exclusive people that we've vetted to bring in, and they're still choosing to do that.
Oh yeah, there's a whole discussion as to why they're doing that. Like
Yeah.
I understand why they're doing it. I don't agree with it, but I know why they're doing it.
Yeah, I know why they're doing it, and but at the same time, I think we'll get to a point where it's going to come back, right? Where the pendulum swung
I hope so.
full way. I think we're going to get back to center.
I hope you can come back from full retard because we need to get back.
Yeah, you
So
never go full retard.
Yep. All right. Well, that's it though. Thank you everybody for sticking with us. We will talk to you all on October 18th.
Yep.
When we talk about Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Get ready.
And if you're listening to only the audio, then you'll hear this after the other episodes have been posted. But if you wondered why you didn't hear any audio after the September 11th episode for a while, it's because A, we had a computer break on us, and B, life. So
Yeah. The computer spectacularly broke too.
yeah, mid-show.
Fucking great.
Ugh.
Fucking Windows 98.
Yeah, so until next time, thank you again for joining us, and Dave and everybody else, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you. Okay, now what do I click?
Yeah, all right. And now is the after party.
Lunar Girl, I need you to write me something smart to say for our own stuff. Everything else was great, but I need to have a read for our own stuff because I know I'm forgetting things. Should have had people directed to TeePublic, which if you're still watching on YouTube and you want a fucking sweet shirt, Scott Rasmussen was sporting the Jason Rose shirt.
Yes, he was. Oh, is that who that was wearing that shirt? I didn't recognize him with the almost cleanly shaven face and just the nicely trimmed goatee. I'm like, who the fuck is this?
Well, there you go.
That's not the Scott that I'm used to.
L click. What happened? Oh.
You just being funny?
I hope so. How's our sound? Are we okay? Is everything okay? Oh my god! Why, God?
So,
Why?
So anyway, to continue our discussion about fantasy football, yeah, the Booth and the Bat guys, they let me know that wins and losses don't matter. So, it doesn't matter if you're undefeated. It only matters how many points you have. So right. I made some adjustments to my team, and I think I'm on the right track. I'm going to have...
Have you righted the ship?
Yeah, if I don't have the most points this week, it'll definitely be the second most in the league. But it really depends on how Orange Jacket guy does, I think, in the end of his matchup.
Yeah,
You won, right?
Well, there's still a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah, I still have CD Lamb tonight. I left a lot of points on the bench this week. So here's what's frustrating about Dave in fantasy football this year. Dave's making a lot of really, really good, smart fantasy football decisions when it comes to picking up the waiver wire and things like that.
Sure.
Getting those individuals that I got onto my team, onto the starting roster, I'm not doing so well. Case in point, I picked up for this week, fucking Henkel, or Finkel and Einhorn, or whatever the fuck his name is. Right?
Einhorn is a man!
Yeah, he got 22.58 points in a loss to Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
Which is what watched last week's highlights. I did some research. I'm like, okay, this will be a good pickup because Jameis Winston has not been, after that amazing game against fucking Green Bay, he hasn't done shit. Well, again, didn't do shit yesterday and fucking got 10 points. So I picked up the fucking Washington QB so that I could fucking replace him with Winston. Didn't do it. There was a part of me that was like, you know what, Jameis, he's notorious for having a good game, a bad game, and then another good game.
Yeah.
He didn't have another good game.
Not this time, huh?
They won against New England, but it would not because of him.
Yeah. It was because they were playing New England. The glory days are over. I think we're back to the New England of 1982 to 1996.
Those poor fucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers only got me 18 fucking points. I mean, yeah, they won. Yeah, he
started hot. They must have really clamped down on him in the second half.
I don't know. I didn't. I watched a little bit of that game, and then again, last week we were talking about how emotionally spent I was after the fucking Penn State win, and this week it was all Ryder Cup. That's all I was all about the Ryder Cup this particular week because I knew that tonight is going to be the fucking Eagles game, so I'm going to be, getting up for that. So yeah, I just fucking couldn't stay up for football yesterday. I'm okay this week. I don't think I can compete with Jason style numbers, not unless let me tell you what I had on my bench. I have Kareem Hunt, who had almost 30 points, right? Because it's a tag team between him and fucking.
Are they back again? Are they checking it and wrecking it and letting it begin?
Let's begin. Party on, party people.
Let me hear some noise. Something.
DC's in the house.
Jump for joy. Party over here.
Party over there. Put your hands in the air. Shake your derriere.
These three words where you're getting busy.
Oop, there it is. So Kareem Hunt, he went fucking bananas. I had Waddle on the bench. He's a fucking Miami wide receiver.
Unfortunate name.
Yeah. Parker didn't do shit, but I had fucking almost 90 points on my bench.
Yeah.
And that's fucking that's fantasy football, right? I mean, part of the game isn't just working a waiver wire; it's also getting the players started in the right position. And I'm just not.
Yeah. Well, fucking Dalvin Cook, my number one pick, was injured this week, so I had to play without him. And I was starting to sweat because my game was real back and forth for a while. Fucking Josh Allen almost fucked me in the ass hard. That dude went nuts yesterday. Absolutely nuts. I'm like, what the fuck? But thankfully, my team responded. And, I mean, I guess it's possible that the Corellia Steelers could win if their kicker gets 36 points tonight. I mean, stranger things have happened. We saw the fucking record for the longest field goal get broken yesterday.
That was fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
It should have been a delay game. I don't know if you watched any of the highlights of that.
I watched the highlights, yeah.
Yeah. So apparently there was the play clock was at 0 for 1.6 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That's an eternity to not throw a flag.
Right.
So it should have been a fucking delay game penalty.
I mean,
that ball should have been moved back.
Do we know that the clock wasn't off? Because that happens sometimes.
No, it was on. They showed it tick down.
Oh.
And apparently it's the back judge. I think it's the back judge's responsibility to fucking be watching that clock and the ball for the snap. So apparently he just said, fuck it.
Yeah, I think they were all just like, holy shit, is he going to actually try this?
They're like, man, it's a long-ass field goal. Yeah. Am I going to see the longest... And to hit the crossbar the way he did and still have it go in,
as
opposed to the fucking double dink that the Eagles benefited from a couple years
So,
ago.
funny thing about this, it's been an NFL record for quite a while. The longest field goal, it's been 63 yards. It was originally set by that one dude with half the foot a long time ago. Ever since then, 3 or 4 people have kicked a field goal just as long, and I think there was one that was longer.
It was a fucking old boy from Arizona.
Yeah. I watched every single one of those field goals live. Somehow, like when the fucking dude from the Broncos tied it back in the late 90s, I think it was. When the dude from the Eagles tied it, I was watching live when that one happened. When the fucking
David Akers.
Yeah, when the Cardinals guy broke it the other time, I was watching that live. Janikowski also tied it once. Also made a 63-yarder. I was watching all of those games live. Every one of those field goals that were made. Did not see the Ravens one yesterday. I'm like, no, because I've always had this fascination with the field goal record, like the longest field goal. For some reason, I've always been like fascinated with that.
Hey, it's crazy to think about, because the further away you get from the goalpost, the lower that angle is.
Yeah, there's so many factors.
Yeah, and
you know,
and they were breaking it down last night before I watched the Sunday night game, or at least part of the Sunday night game, and they were talking about how. He takes this like stutter step going into the ball, which affects so much. Like how he gets, like Drew Brees' thing last night was fucking talking about power through the lower body. Like it was everything, quarterbacks and kickers and everything. He was using the same fucking thing. Drew Brees is finding his way in the announcer shit, but there's so much luck involved in that too, because you have all these people that they know full well that this is coming in a low angle. Yeah. They know where the ball needs to go.
Yeah, so it makes it much easier to block.
Right, and the fact that he could still do it and have it go off the crossbar and still go through. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And that'll be a highlight that we watch for the rest of our lives
forever. Yeah. What I like about that is that it was not in fucking Denver. Like it wasn't at Mile High,
right,
or whatever they call it now. Like, because I feel like that skews it.
Yeah,
because
the thinner air and everything.
Yeah, at altitude, the ball fucking travels crazy much further. Now, I don't know if they do it like in baseball, because they actually have like a humidor in Colorado that the ball, they keep at a particular fucking moisture level so that it doesn't travel as far.
Really?
Oh yeah. Baseball, they account for that distance. Dude, I played golf in fucking Colorado, in Denver. The ball, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, all right, we're at altitude. I've played it like in Vegas, where it was like 1,200 feet or whatever. So I played with a little bit of altitude. I'm like, all right, this will, it's not going to go that much further.
Sure.
Holy fuck, if it didn't go that much further, dude. It was like I hit a ball that should have went fucking 165 yards. That bitch went fucking 250. Off the same club. I'm like, holy shit.
Damn.
Like, I had all these clubs in the bag, and I couldn't pull any of the big ones because I was just, smoking the shit out of these fucking golf balls.
That's too funny.
And it was all because of the altitude.
Yeah.
So, you have to change the entirety of your game. And I think it's a factor. With records like this, I think the Denver ones shouldn't count. Unless you're, really accounting for... Like, if they are somehow manipulating the ball to not travel as far, which I don't think you can really do. Like, with an inflated ball, I think that would be tough.
Yeah.
Although, I'm sure fucking Brady could figure it out. Brady or Belichick could probably
I knew a Brady comment was coming.
Look. I can't wait till there's more, so I can give it more fucking middle fingers. Yeah, so it's, fuck football at this point. The Eagles are going to lose tonight, and I'm.
You really think they're going to lose? I mean, Dallas isn't that great.
I know they're not, but the Eagles' offense is very sus.
Yeah.
I have huge. I'm still. All these idiots that fucking jumped on the Jalen Hurts wagon, they're like, "Oh my God, he's fucking great. He made all these great decisions." And then I think it got exposed a little bit in the San Fran game.
Yeah.
I think they both did. I think. The play calling was suspect. I think Sirianni didn't quite know. It's just so early in the season. I just don't think he knew what plays were going to work and what's not.
So here's a question. Who would you rather have under center, Jalen Hurts or Jimmy Garoppolo?
Man, that's tough.
Yeah, I'm watching this game last night. I didn't look at the highlights after I went to bed, but, dude, Jimmy G, he looks much more like a Trent Dilfer than a Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. Like a guy who's not going to fucking light it up, will hopefully not lose the game for you, but certainly isn't going to go out there and win the game for you.
So my problem with Jalen Hurts is that if you're playing to his strengths, right, you're going to spend a lot of time with the ball on the ground.
Yeah.
So you have to have a running game and an offensive line that is so explosive that and is going to get blocks downfield and everything else to make a Jalen Hurts work because he's not as gifted as a Lamar Jackson or a fucking what's his nuts Murray out in Arizona.
Yeah.
Like he's not that type of runner. He just isn't. Like even when you watch him, it's he reminds me of a little Donovan McNabb, honestly, when he's running. And McNabb actually was a decent runner.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was great, but he was also a big dude.
He was big dude. Like it's like watching a fucking C5 land. It's like that's a lot of. It doesn't look like it's moving very fast because it's so big, and you don't have that with Hurts.
Yeah.
And I think a smart defensive coach is going to be able to contain Jalen Hurts' abilities outside. They're going to I think what the 49ers did last week is they gave Jalen Hurts a lot of fucking all right, you want to run, go ahead. You might get 12 yards.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's what we're giving up. And I think it was effective. And that being said, I pissed him on last week about fucking Hurts not throwing a long ball. He threw a bunch of long passes. He had that big one for fucking 60 some odd yards or whatever, and like okay great, but none of those were very good throws.
Yeah.
None of those were fucking look at this guy's arm talent, and that's what scares me. I think,
and that was also against the 49ers depleted secondary as well.
Yeah.
For what it's worth,
we should have exposed the Josh Normans and everybody else, and I just don't think we have that game. Dave sitting here giving his opinion because that's what he does. I want a big stand-up quarterback. Somebody being elusive is great. There is, I think the issue when you had with Carson Wentz is that he was proved that he was elusive, and then that's all he thought about was being elusive.
Yeah,
like not how do I stand here and be better in the pocket. And you're watching him do it. Unfortunately, right now you're watching him do it with Indianapolis. Like Wentz got obliterated last fucking week, or yesterday. So it's unfortunate. Apparently, Indianapolis has a very similar situation to what the Eagles have with their offensive line. They're just not protecting him, and he needs time. He needs time to be able to read the field. But he's got this entire mindset now where he's just 3 seconds and then running for his life, and it's not a way to quarterback. But
nope.
Would I take a Jimmy Garoppolo? Like I think Jimmy Garoppolo has probably more arm talent than Jalen Hurts. But I think you'd have to would he fit on the Eagles team right now? Probably not. I think you have with Flacco as your backup, you have probably a quarter of your playbook design where you can have a stand-up guy in there.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like he's a backup.
It's crazy how much he's fallen too.
Who, Flacco?
Yeah.
Look, Flacco is lucky to be there. I like him. Like I've been on record as saying I'd fucking get a Flacco jersey, and I still might.
Yeah.
Because he's a local guy. Like he's 10 minutes from your house is where fucking he grew up.
Yeah. And
he got to that point in the Super Bowl. He had an amazing season, and that's really what you have to have, right? Like how did the Eagles win their Super Bowl? They had the right people at the right place at just the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Even after your fucking MVP caliber quarterback goes down, you had somebody that could come in there and get them to the promised land.
Yep.
And I think Baltimore had that season. They were scary on defense, and they had just enough offense to fucking win that game. Yeah. And yeah, that was it. Like that. Now you've reached your apogee. Now ride that shit, down to you're a multi-millionaire had a successful fucking career. And what I like about him that I think right now he's looking at going like, I'm a quarterback that came out of the University of Delaware. All right. You always have dreams of making it as a fucking NFL player, but to have not only be an NFL football player, but also have a Super Bowl ring.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty big.
Big fucking deal.
Yep.
So, and right now I think he's content with being a backup. And that's awesome. Do I think he's going to he's not starter material by any stretch of your imagination, but again, what we have now is Jalen Hurts, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys are their wide receivers are too good.
Well, that being said, you want to start closing this up so you can go
Yeah,
get home in time and start pre-gaming? And
I do. Well, unfortunately, not pre-gaming that much, but I will enjoy some wings. My father-in-law has this routine that he makes wings for the Eagles game.
nice.
So we sit down in it and have wings. It's gonna be good. Swede has Jalen Hurts. Okay, he makes fun of him for it. I've got Eagles too. Anyway, yeah. Until we meet again, folks.
Yep. We'll be back sooner than you realize.
Yep. Yeah. Obviously.
All right, we're out, guys.
See ya. Go Birds. Click the button.